the final bottleneck was lack of democracy. Because that was also another problem. Because if you don't have, I see some people trying to say democracy is a luxury. No, democracy forces you to be accountable. To go to the people and win their support.
$5 billion currently are building confidence from within. But this will not happen automatically.
Recently we had elections,
air transport market
and where my people listened to my advice, we performed very well. Because when they implement what we like, getting rid of poverty in the whole country. How can you preserve poverty in the whole country? It's not a national park that you are preserving. So now, therefore, I want to conclude by saying that we have the money here. Yes, we are getting more money. Now our speaker from AFC gave a very good example. The pension funds, what are they being used for? NSSF in Uganda has got a lot of money, but they just invest in treasury bills.
I can say with all conviction that he's a living example of
the government borrows from
national platforms. He can
fund
engineers, technicians.
They borrow for eating. So, our expert has really challenged you people, you heard him, that the NSSF money should be not for eating. Because if you treasury bills, they are borrowing to pay debts, to pay salaries, to pay what? They are not borrowing for
builders and creators. They will need of over 30% of mineral resources.
I call infrastructure.
By the time we probably done chapter
in our language.
So let us be clear. A prosperous and integral energy system.
Bone marrow. You know the English don't have enough words. They couldn't describe that part of the body. The bone marrow, they call it bone marrow. But in our language we call it omsomyo. Or omshokoro in one of the other languages. So the omshokoro of the economy is the railway, transport, electricity, the cost of, plus of course peace and so on. So if the NSSF money is used for eating, not to build part of the bone marrow, because the English don't have enough words, it's a very big mistake. It is very true that if you don't have infrastructure, how will you have industrialization? How will you have modernization? Now, on infrastructure, we are moving very well now. From the comments of His Excellency President Ruto, from the comments of the AFC, we are all moving in the right direction. The only clarification I want to make is that there are core cost pushers. If you want your economy to succeed, you must identify the core cost pushers, which push costs in production. One of them is transport. Transport, especially the railway and the water transport. So if you build the railway, you must build it with either government money, who are not looking for high profits and quickly, or with patient capital, patient private capital. Because if you have got very high costs of transport, of the railroad, how will you compete? How will you compete? How will the companies make money? The other cost pusher is electricity. In Uganda, my people behind my back, they made a mistake, and they went with a group called what? I don't know what they called them. And they built a dam, one of the dams on the Nile, using private money. When it came to the price of the electricity, production was 16 cents per kilowatt hour. How can you make money? How can that electricity help the economy? Well, it almost caused a civil war because they didn't tell me, they went behind my back. But the dams were built with government money. We are able to produce electricity at 4.8 cents, American cents per kilowatt hour. Then the old dams, the ones we have already paid for, the cost is 1.2 cents, American cents. So there, we must be very careful. It must either be government money or patient capital, not people who are looking for quick money. Then, number 6, fragmented market. If you produce, who buys? I've told you that my tribe cannot help me with, I am a capitalist also. I sell my milk. But in Uganda, it is bought by the Ugandans in Kampala. Not in my tribal area so much. Then East Africa. That's why I've been begging His Excellency Ruto, my young sister Samia, please, ruhusu maziwa yangu yaje huko bila vizuizi. Now, if you don't have a market, how will you attract capital? And the ones who invest in your country, how will they succeed? China opened in 1978. China, I have the figures here by that time. China opened in 1978, opened the economy.
In other words,
our African economies were open all the time, all that time. But by the time I made this speech here,
through the single air
10 years ago when we were with the Prime Minister of Japan here,
execution.
By that time, China had attracted $2.6 trillion, while Africa had attracted only $0.65 trillion. Why? One of the magnets is the big Chinese market inside China. One of the big magnets of attracting. So, to go on with these fragmented economies is a very big mistake. And that's why I'm very happy with His Excellency Ruto denouncing the tariff barriers that stop trade among our countries. Then the other bottleneck here, underdeveloped services, tourism, banking, professional services, and so on. Underdeveloped agriculture, number 8, bottleneck number 8. Uganda has got a little bit of agriculture. We never import food. So when I saw people crying that there was a war in Ukraine, is the war in Uganda here? It's in Ukraine. Why are you crying? Or that we shall have no food to eat. Not in Uganda, we always eat. We have enough food. We have got so much food that we don't know where to put it. Market is our problem. But in other parts of Africa, you get this problem of no food. Amazing. And the food they buy from outside is very dangerous. Bad food, with hormones and so on. Now, on the issue of petroleum, we found it long ago, 2005. But up to now, it's now about to come out of the ground. What was the reason? Disagreeing with the oil companies, Total. They were telling my people who would tell me, refineries don't make money. Hey, they don't make money. How about the ones who build them? Why do they build them? Then when I checked, the refinery in Uganda actually is very, very profitable.
$5 billion
We have somebody from that sector.
from within. So this will not happen.
I'm also tactical.
Through
Because
the
the Total
single
were
air
insisting
transport market, we
that they should
are
take all the oil.
execution.
Why do you take the oil? They could use as are here. Why do you take it? Say, oh, no, there's no money in the refinery. I said, no, you are lying. Now, eventually, we agreed that we build a small refinery of 60,000 barrels per day. What do you call this? You build, then you add on. There's a way they say it in English. You build one unit, then you add on. Add on another 60,000, and that my refinery would have first score on the oil, and then the balance you can export through Tanzania. Fine. Now recently, and then that ECOP, it's now called ECOP, East African Pipeline. Later on, we could see that people of Congo could use it if they want, because there's some oil there on the other side. People in South Sudan can use it, because they have got oil there. Now, this oil of the Carabat is one of the 5 provinces. We have got 4 other provinces of oil. This is just one of them. So therefore, the 13%, the internal rate of return is 1.13. Okay. And what is the internal rate of return of others in the world? Find out. So therefore, when His Excellency Ruto recently sent me a message, I supported it, that the surplus oil, which we had given to Total to take through Tanga to I don't know where,
Through the single air
be
transport
our
market,
contribution
we are
to the refinery in Tanga,
execution.
number 1. Then later on, we can add the petroleum from the other Congo, from South Sudan, and also these other because the one of Uganda, where we have the oil now, is only 40% of the Arbat area. There is another 60% which we have not which is not yet fully explored. So there's more oil in Uganda, both within Arbat and in the other provinces. So therefore, I support this idea of the Tanga refinery. We shall maintain our small refinery because we have already gone ahead. We are very far. We can't stop. The question is, how do you those refineries? If you don't want to create kwa Kiswahili tunasema wivu, jealousy. Tunasema wivu, wivu. If you don't want wivu, it's better that if the countries have ownership together, like in, because that's what we were doing in the past. We were calling it East African Common Services. We were owning the ports together, East African harbors, East African Railway, East African Airways, East African Development Bank. It was all East African. If it is all ours, then it is ours. Then it is not either me or you. Hakuna kushindana. You are all together. So with these few words, It is now my pleasure to participate in the meeting.